I'm Stanley Cup champion and legendary badass Darren McCarty and the golden voice of Neil Rule. Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. as they give their takes on all things Detroit sports. The number one midday show in Detroit is on. Welcome to Big D Energy.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Big D Energy live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam. The man to my right is the esteemed Sean Belegian in the building, and we also have KG in the sound booth and Spencer Raxter in the TD booth. What a day that we have for you guys today.
Big D!
Absolutely. Hey! It's going to happen sometime. We are filling in for Neil Rule and Darren McCarty, and I love doing this show because it is on the eve of the United States men's basketball team pulling out gold in France. Sean Belegian, how you feeling today?
Excellent, man. It was fantastic watch. And, you know, I don't give a crap how it gets done. You're always going to get the comparisons to 92. I can't stand the generational arguments. I can't. Give these guys their flowers. They got the job done.
They absolutely did.
Period.
100%. And we're going to talk more about the Lions moving forward. We have an interesting Tigers topic, too, that I'm curious to get everybody's opinion on. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Olympics, maybe even squeeze in a Red Wings one since Sean Belegian is on the desk, since I know hockey is your favorite sport. We did it just for you. Just because it's you. I'm sure if Neil and D-Mac were here, we'd do it too. But you know what? It is all well and good. But how are you guys feeling, KG? Hey. USA, right?
Yes, sir. USA, man. Great basketball game. The finish by Steph Curry in the fourth quarter. Absolutely amazing. But I don't want people to take away from Captain America being a steady force this whole Olympic run, man. I think he had a double-double in this game. Yep. The pick and pop game between him and Curry was unbeatable.
Absolutely. Spenny, I know you were as excited as anybody about USA's gold medal.
Oh yeah, man. I love the Olympics. I'm a big Olympics guy, so it was great to watch. It was just insane watching him do that at the end of the game. 4 in a row to ice the game was awesome. But yeah, LeBron, people were freaking out that LeBron won the MVP, but he has been the best player on this team all Olympics long. So yeah, I'm not worried about that. LeBron played his ass off. He deserved it.
Did you guys see the en français video of the call on Steph Curry?
Yeah.
Oh,
I did.
The devil named Steph Curry.
This devil named Steph Curry. This devil must be stopped.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just come on. Look, we were having some fun with this before the show started, okay? Let me give a wink, trying to get him ticked off. But I'm with you. Everybody's going to talk about Steph Curry because it's the moment.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. And I firmly believe, quite frankly, Steph doesn't get his flowers because he changed the NBA.
Yeah. Period.
End of story. But, KG, like him or not, LeBron's phenomenal. Just give it. He's 40 years old, man.
And they don't make it that far without him playing top-level basketball, man.
No, I remember watching the first Serbia game. And Serbia's got a good little team. And contrary to what people out there think, believe it or not, there are some other countries in the world that are balling and do a good job. And I think we saw that with Serbia twice, in particular the second time, and certainly with France. But, when LeBron took that game over in the third quarter, I don't know if you guys saw it, was okay, dude. And you guys, come on, he's going to be 40 years old, for goodness sake. I'm sorry, that counts for something. You got to give him his love for that.
Of course it counts for something. And for people who want to say that we try to have it both ways when we use the whole age argument, it's because it's unprecedented. It's unprecedented what LeBron James is doing at damn near 40 years old. And let me just say this because I want to give all of the credit to where it is due. Because historically, I've not been much of a Steph Curry fan. I think he often gets put in conversations that he doesn't belong in. However, that being said, I know, being a Steph Curry fan, I guess, is the craziest thing. Not a Steph Curry fan is the craziest thing ever. However, that shooting display he put on at the end of the fourth quarter in the game against France, knocking down 4 dagger threes, was maybe the greatest display of shooting I've ever seen. Yeah. Particularly with that last shot when he was double-teamed. It was just absolutely phenomenal. He's the greatest shooter who ever lived, and he played like it. He played like it in the Olympic final. And he was phenomenal in the game against Serbia as well. So, Steph Curry, congratulations. You know what? Honestly, Steph Curry may have just entered my top 10.
Hey,
my personal top 10.
Not mad at it.
Maybe.
Can you believe that was his first gold medal?
I can't believe it.
That blew my mind.
That did blow my mind.
That's to me. I think when you change the game, and literally anybody out there want to deny that Steph Curry hasn't changed the NBA?
Analytics had something to do with it.
Well, come on.
It was Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Come on. But anyway, listen. When you change a game, I think, Flannel, you're right. You have to elevate that dude.
Sure.
I mean, I can't stand the term generational talent. People throw it out there, like Oprah giving cars away. You're a generational talent. You're a generational talent. It doesn't work that way. It's too easy to just say generational talent. But the guys that change a game are generational talents, and more often than not, it's the guys that even if you talk to the old school guys, like I didn't see Bobby Orr, okay, didn't see him, okay. So when people say, well, who's the best defenseman you've ever seen? I Nick Lidstrom. But I also respect the fact that old-timers say, okay, it started with Doug Harvey, but it really went like this when Bobby Orr came on. Completely changed the game. You got to give the guys like that, I think that gives them an added bonus when you start to have these dumb conversations.
Sure, and he's the greatest human to ever live at shooting a basketball, and that definitely qualifies for something as well, along with his list of accomplishments, which is very, very long. Not as long as LeBron's, but I will stop there because we're all about celebrating the USA today, and that's why I also have to give credit to Kevin Durant, who had his moments as well, and now is USA's all-time leading scorer in Olympic play.
Most medals too.
Hey, look at his numbers in previous Olympics. Kevin Durant was carrying the scoring for a couple of them for sure, and LeBron James, man. I know a lot of people, like we said, were outraged that LeBron won the MVP. And I can understand if you just look at Curry's last couple of games. But LeBron James led the team in rebounds, led the team in field goal percentage, was second in scoring, and was by far number one in assists. And when you have a team full of superstars, Hall of Famers, all-time greats like that, you need somebody who is going to distribute the basketball. You need somebody who is going to actually play the point guard and get these players in positions where they can get open shots. And LeBron has done that in this Olympics better than I've ever seen anyone do it in any individual Olympics. So shout out to those three, by far the three best NBA players of the last 15 years.
Have you accepted the fact, though, you are never going to change anybody's mind on LeBron James? Have you accepted that fact?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Because trust me, my generation, it was the same thing with Michael Jordan. I told the story I was one of those guys. I was.
Yeah.
And then I remember vividly the moment, and I don't have to go over that moment. Actually, I will. You've seen the commercials in the NBA Finals where he's just burying shots from everywhere against Portland, and he turns around and he looks at Magic and goes like that.
Shrug.
Who's doing the like at that point in time? Like I fell down to my knees and I wept. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. He's the greatest I've ever seen. Oh, I hate it.
You had to give it up.
I literally felt dirty because of some of, the past misgivings, if you will, with the Pistons. But I got to that point. If you don't have that moment by now with LeBron James, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And I get it. People are going to hold certain things against him, whether it be back in the day against the Pistons, whether it be the decision and things. But I'm glad to hear you say that. No matter how much you yell and scream, and you could have a trademark patent flannel meltdown, you are never, ever, ever going to change people's minds. People's minds are made up on LeBron James right now. And in my mind, if you can't give that dude his flowers, that's on you now.
Yeah.
It's not on LeBron anymore. If you can't give him his flowers, it's on you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's LeBron derangement syndrome is a certified mental illness at this point. It just is. And I'm not even trying to be mean or anything like that. If you guys are in the chat and found, and your number one thing to point out after the game was, how can I use this against LeBron, then you have a problem. And fine. And I know that I'm never going to change the hearts and minds of anybody. Cody Engel in the chat, old heads stay mad at LeBron. But it's not even just old heads. You got people who are
the younger crowd.
You got people who are much younger than me just using everything to discredit LeBron. And trust me, I have tried with a lot of people when it comes to changing hearts and minds. I consider myself a bit of a LeBron-ologist. I know damn near everything there is to know about that man and his accomplishments and stats, and people just don't budge. And it's fine. You get to the point when you're older where you just don't try to convince people anymore. You just let them see it for themselves. And if that's what they want to believe, I can't help you.
Glenn, you know what's funny about this, though? And I don't even know if we meant to go down this road, but here we are. I'm a firm believer, as I said, in only talking about guys that I saw. All right, I don't want to talk about George Mikan. I never saw George Mikan.
Bill Russell, all that.
Sorry, I never. So you know what? And I always put that out in front. I think some of the same young dogs that are propping up LeBron should probably take that approach too. Did you watch Michael Jordan play?
Yeah.
All right, then maybe sit this one out.
Yeah.
Maybe sit this one out. But the point remains, that doesn't mean you're wrong. There are a lot of old people that turned into their dads. This is the best guy I've ever seen. Nobody will ever be better than him. You know what I would say? I would put LeBron in that same category of guys. Larry Bird was an assassin. Michael Jordan, I don't care what anybody says, in my mind, opinion, he's the best ever.
He's the GOAT.
Magic, you got to give him his flowers. LeBron James is in that group. Kobe Bryant. That's, to me, that's the group. And I got no problem saying it. If you want to argue that LeBron was better than Michael Jordan, we can have that discussion. But is there a right answer?
No. When it comes
not.
to those two, there isn't a right answer. And I've completely resigned to the fact that if you want to put LeBron 1 or Michael Jordan 1 and reverse them, I think those are clearly, in my opinion, the top two. And then there's a bit of a gap, and then you've got, to me, the guys like Kareem and Bird and Magic and Duncan and Hakeem, Shaq.
Right.
Yes.
I think Kobe's like 11 or 12, but that's just my opinion. He's an all-time great. And to me, at this point, Steph Curry is maybe nipping at the heels of somebody like Hakeem Olajuwon or Shaquille O'Neal. Maybe even better at this point. If I were to take one of them out of my top 10, it'd probably be Hakeem or Shaq, and maybe put in Steph. Although, I think we all have to admit when it comes to Steph, we're maybe being a little bit prisoner of the moment. Maybe just a little bit. But it's a hell of a moment, though. Go ahead, KG.
Are we?
I don't think we are, though. Like he said, the man flat out changed the game, man. And the accomplishments are up there now. That's one thing you can't argue with Steph Curry. He has the accomplishments. Yeah, he might not have the MVPs and all that, but as far as like championships and things of that nature, he's right up there. I think you can easily put him in the top 10. Like you said, over in Hakeem Olajuwon, I think you can get Olajuwon up out of there. And that's no disrespect to the Dream, but I mean, Steph Curry at this point is a revelation.
I think I always say this to people: go do a homework assignment. Okay, YouTube is a magical, wondrous place. You can go home today and watch a football game from 20 years ago.
Facts.
And then you can watch a football game from the early 90s. You know, a lot of people say that was such a great era, the Cowboys and Niners and all that. Watch how different the game is. Then you go back to the 80s to the 90s to 2004 to today. The National Football League has changed incredibly. And that's because of A, the rules, and B, the way it's called. They are literally saying we want pretty offenses and wonderful quarterbacks and bombastic numbers and everything. That was a mandated change, whether we want to admit it or not.
Yeah.
Steph Curry was a personal change. Steph Curry changed the NBA. And that's not an overstatement. I mean, he did. What he brought to the table, you saw other teams saying, okay, we got to get that. We got to get that. We got to get that lights out guy who's just going to stand behind the arc and just bury threes at will. That says something.
It's more than just the professional level, too. It trickled all the way down
100%.
to the modern age of players, man. AAU kids are shooting from like 30 feet, 40 feet out because of Steph Curry.
Don't become what you detest here, Flannel.
Before we go to break, let me just clarify something, because people are calling me a Steph Curry hater in the chat, even though I said I might put him into my top 10. When I mean prisoner of the moment, I'm not talking about putting him in the top 10, because I'm referring more to guys like Ryan Ermanni, who went on Twitter right after the game and said that Steph is greater than LeBron. I'm talking about guys like Stick, who said that Steph Curry is the greatest player of this generation. There really is no argument for Steph Curry over LeBron, except for maybe shooting, changing the game. But accomplishments, LeBron still dwarfs Steph by a wide margin.
And shout out to Dante151 for the $10 super chat. He says, do people realize that James did something that Jordan never did, and that taking 3 NBA teams to the finals and winning an NBA championship, can we stop hating on LeBron James, please?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We should. They won't.
Yeah.
I think LeBron's the GOAT, personally.
Fair.
I mean, you look at it, he's got the most points in the history of the NBA. He's going to have the most assists in the NBA history of the NBA. He's going to be top 5 in rebounds in the history of the NBA. He's 40 years old, having the best years of his career. He's been in his prime for 20 seasons. Like, the guy is absolutely insane.
Yeah. It's semantics at this point. Because, I mean, with me, I think Jordan is the GOAT, and I'm a LeBron fan. But I always say it's the way Jordan played the game that makes him the GOAT to me, in my opinion. It's the viciousness he played with, the killer instinct, the air that he got off the ground. I mean, the man levitated, for Christ's sake. Some of the things that he did on the basketball court was absolutely ungodly. Add that to the championships and the way he won the championships. To me, he's the GOAT. But LeBron, absolutely the best career of any NBA player. Yes,
I think that's I think that's very fair, because you know what? If I was going into a series, who do I want? Prime Jordan or prime LeBron? I will take prime Jordan every single time, and I will not second guess it. But I think this is a both things can be true thing.
Absolutely.
I understand the argument. I get it. Like, and I think people in my generation are no. We've turned into our dads.
Yeah.
I mean, we really have. Whether you guys want to admit it or not, we've turned into our dads.
What about Bill Russell?
It's okay to give that other guy credit. It's okay. He's had a phenomenal career. Give him his love.
At the root of it, these are two different positions, two different eras of basketball, the rules.
Two different types of players.
Exactly. It's so many different things to account for when you're comparing the two. So I've never liked the comparison of those two, but I understand why. I mean, they're both the GOATs of their generation.
Yes, and before we go to break, I have to read quite possibly the worst thing I've seen in the history of this chat. Robert Colosia, Curry is not better than Iverson. Robert Colosia.
I love Ivo. You can't do that.
Are an idiot.
There's only
with all
one.
due respect.
There's only one point guard you can guard.
With all due respect.
Yeah, there's only one point guard that you could argue is better than Steph Curry. I think,
we all know who
and
it
that's
is.
Magic Johnson.
Right.
Yeah.
Allen Iverson. And by the way, because LeBron derangement syndrome is a thing, and he gets 100% of the blame for the 04 bronze, in which he played the fourth least minutes of the game and was per game and was coming off of his rookie season. How about we look at Allen Iverson's numbers in the 04 Olympics? He shot them out of it. I'm just going to say that. And Allen Iverson's one of the most overrated players in NBA history. Look at those shooting percentages.
You was good until you.
He's a shot jacker. That's what he is. He's a Hall of Famer. But can we all agree that he can't even breathe the same air as Steph Curry?
But will you hold on for just a second?
Yes.
What you just said is fascinating to me. He's one of the most overrated players of all time, but he's a Hall of Famer.
Of course, you can be a Hall of Famer and be an all-time great.
No, you can't be overrated and be an all-time great.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can. Kobe is.
Oh, God.
I think he is.
I like, honest to God, to me, there are two little dudes that I will go to war with every single day, and it's Allen Iverson.
I'm trying to tell you.
Thomas.
He don't want to hear this, but AI changed the game as well.
Oh, because he wore do-rags to the damn NBA.
As far as dribbling, he absolutely changed the game of basketball, and he did the same shit LeBron did. He drug a team by himself to an NBA Finals and would have won if he had more help, man.
Oh, no, he wouldn't.
He would have beat us.
Stop it. Oh, get the F out of here.
He had Eric Snow and Dikembe Mutombo.
Oh, Dikembe Mutombo, who I hear from everybody's a Hall of Famer.
That was Dikembe.
He wasn't that
washed. I can't get past Hall of Famer, most overrated player ever. I'm sorry, I can't put that in the same sentence. You can't say that.
Okay, fine. All I'm saying is that Allen Iverson, he's not top 30 of all time. He's top 50 of all time, but he's not top 30. Look at his efficiency numbers. And if you're talking about Allen Iverson and Isaiah Thomas is, to me, it's not even close.
I agree.
Those two were the toughest little buggers. I'm sorry, something that counts for something, man. I mean, when other guys are saying it, you don't need my word for it. Guys they played against, just tough little dudes that you knew were going to keep coming at you. Boy, I'd like to write down. I wonder where Iverson would. I know we just kind of stumbled in this. I wonder where he'd fall in a list.
I think he might be top 30,
If
but
we
I
were
would have
bored,
to.
we could do something like that. But there's a lot of shit to talk about.
That's and you know what? But
Flannel just don't like him, though. He don't like anything fun. We know this.
You don't like Allen Iverson.
No,
that's crazy.
Because to me, it's also about his.
Flannel's a big practice guy,
but he don't like
cult of personality that's been built around him. A lot of people will say that he's their favorite player, and to me, he's just he's great. He's a Hall of Famer, but he's.
I mean, when he was on, he was on.
An inefficient shot checker. That's what his numbers will tell you.
Get the man some help. That's all I got to say. Theo Ratliff is all I got to say.
But you know what we can all agree on? The Detroit Lions. And we're going to talk about them when we come back next. But first, I got to tell you about Dispo. How would you like $10 of free products from Dispo Dispensary? Screenshot this image with a QR code and bring it into any Dispo location, and you'll get a free $10 to spend in store. With a minimum purchase of $25, visit Dispo Dispensary today or disposhops.com. Dispo Dispensary, your local cannabis plug.
The Great American Chevy Week is back and bigger than ever at Feldman Chevrolet. Choose from the largest inventory of award-winning Chevys, all priced to move for the biggest week of the year. Get this 2024 Silverado for only $213 a month, or this 2024 Equinox for as low as $249 a month. Feldman takes the Great American Chevy Week to another level. Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for PGA Tour Champions Golf, Family Night, concerts, and more. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours at allychallenge.com today.
Game is won in the trenches, and our big fellas don't mess around. The Woodward Heavyweights on Woodward Sports.
If you want the best merch in Detroit, all you got to do is go to shop.woodwardsports.com. We got Tigers, we got Lions, we got everything you need. Boo them kids. Get ready for the Lions season the best way possible by going to shop.woodwardsports.com.
Hey, welcome back to Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network. And while nobody's ever going to agree about NBA players, we can certainly all agree about our love for the Detroit Lions. And another thing we can agree upon is that the strength of the Detroit Lions is that offensive line. However, I want to ask you this, Sean, because we've seen a couple guys on the Lions offensive line have a little bit of a recent injury history. We saw what the line looked like last year when Coyote had to play, or Colby Sorsdahl, or Dan Skipper, and we saw in the preseason game in which the results were, I would say, mixed. So, Sean, are you concerned at all about the O-line depth for the Detroit Lions?
Yeah, I think you have to be. And this is another one of those both things can be true thing, because listen, I know this is the favorite time of year, and we're going to have another topic like this come up later in the show of, well, if an injury happens. Well, my brain doesn't think about injuries. Sorry, I'm not going into the season thinking about an injury, especially those of the catastrophic variety. But with these offensive linemen, I mean, this isn't exactly new. So I think while this remains a strength, let's be honest, maybe there isn't the depth, and maybe being the key and operative word, maybe there isn't the depth that there has been in the past. So when, not if, one of those injuries happen, because it's going to happen. And I'm not saying catastrophic injury. This isn't a quarterback situation. More on that later. But yeah, there's no problem with saying, okay, Brad, what do you got? Now, I'm going to say this again because it's almost like people forget this every single year. Do you know that there are going to be more cuts? Mm-hmm. Do you know that there is a scrap heap? Do you know that there might be a guy that, while not a plug-and-play guy, might provide some of those fits? The chapter's not written yet. We're going through the chapter, okay? And we're writing it as we speak, but Flannel, there might be an answer. But to your question, as is right now, yeah, I think the answer is yeah, you have to be, don't you?
Yeah, well, when you look at last year in the Lions offensive line, they had, and I get it, knock on wood, they had a pretty remarkable bill of health, all things considered. Penne played every game. You had Graham Glasgow play every game. Kevin Zeitler wasn't on the team, but he's historically very, very durable. You had Ragnow and Decker each have some nagging things, but they played the majority of games. I'm looking at this offensive line right now with three guys who've had a little bit of a recent injury history, and Decker, Ragnow, and Graham Glasgow missed 10 games in 2021. And I get it. We can't live life scared. Here's my point of view on it all. If you have a game or two where, let's just say, one of the guards is out or one of the centers is out, I think that that's something you could patchwork together and it would be okay as long as most of the offensive line is healthy. If there's a guard out, maybe you move Glasgow over and then you put Zeitler and Coyote at the guards, and I think you move along pretty well. Or even if you have a guard or even a tackle, maybe you put Dan Skipper in. Dan Skipper hasn't played as much tackle as you think in his career, but those two, Coyote and Dan Skipper, are two offensive linemen that I trust to at least play well enough to keep the train moving if a couple players get out for a couple of games. But I do think it's a tale as old as time for any NFL team. If the offensive line, again, knock on wood, suffers just a cavalcade of injuries, I don't even know if that's a word, but you understand what I mean, the Lions are going to be effed to some degree. But if they have maybe one or two at a time, I think you can patch it together just fine.
How many times have we had this conversation in regards to, boy, wouldn't it be great if we could just see some continuity with this line?
Yeah.
That's the reality of the National Football League. And as you mentioned, it not necessarily those catastrophic injuries, but, Frank missing a little time here.
Yeah.
Taylor missing a little time there. Yeah, continuity is something in a perfect world. If you keep this offensive line together, it's the best offensive line in football. I don't have any problem saying that, okay? But keeping a line together, the reality is not as simple. So, yeah, in a perfect world, it would be great. And again, I'm going to use this term. I know I used it last week. One man's trash is another man's treasure. I'm not saying that there's treasure out there, okay? There's a reason a dude got cut 99% of the time. But that doesn't mean that he can't come in and be a part of what you're doing and a potential answer. Listen, I don't want a starter off somebody's trash sheet.
Sure,
Let me get that out of the way. But, yeah, some dude that came in that got, the numbers crunch, whatever the case may be, come on in. Know that you're going to be part of the puzzle.
There was a couple things that happened in offensive line news for the Lions recently. It was they put Connor Galvin on injured reserve. He suffered that injury. It looked like it was a knee in that first preseason game. They added Jamarco Jones as a tackle, so we'll see if he can do anything. That just another body camp piece to bring in, see if he can make the team. And then Christian Mahogany has rejoined the team, which is important.
That's good.
He was dealing with some personal things, personal issues. He was a very, very highly touted prospect, even though he went later in the draft. He looked pretty damn good. I think the personal issues that set him apart from the team were probably why he fell so far in the draft. So him coming back, joining the team is good. He should be a pretty decent piece in that interior offensive line if he can get things going.
No, absolutely. And I was about to bring up Christian Mahogany because, we all know that there's some issues going on. It looks like he's about to rejoin the team, but he was a draft pick that I was personally pretty excited about, and somebody who, to me, is kind of the opposite of Giovanni Manu. I don't think Christian Mahogany has a high ceiling or anything like that, but I think given his experience at Boston College, given that I think he was underdrafted, he's somebody that I would think could maybe even contribute this season in a pinch. Versus, like I said, a Giovanni Manu, who we want nowhere near the field probably for at least this year, maybe going into year 2. So when we're looking at guard depth overall, you've got Skipper who can play guard, you've got Coyote who can play guard, you've got Mahogany who we don't really know yet, but I have high hopes for him, and you've got Colby Sorsdahl who at the absolute least, at the absolute worst, played games last year, although not well. I don't necessarily want him on the field. It's just there's a little bit of guard depth in a pinch. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. KG, are you worried about the depth on the Lions' offensive line?
Well, I have been a little worried about the depth, but I mean, overall, the Lions have been able to manage. Like you said, the full offensive line has not played that much football together, man, but they haven't lost too many games because of their offensive line. To me, it's not about how many injuries you have, but it's who is injured. As long as you have Panay and Frank Ragnow at any given time, I feel like you always have a fighting chance. Now, if Panay were to go down or, Frank Ragnow were to go down, they both go down at the same time, then you have a problem there. But as long as you have those two and you have solid depth behind them, they'll be able to manage, man. They'll be able to make it work with what they have. Now, you do want to see more improvements from a Colby Sorsdahl, from a Christian Mahogany, who, by all accounts have not looked good so far, but like I said, they are experienced at this point. They know what they need to do. And as long as you don't incur injuries to the main people on this offensive line, I feel like you'll be okay.
100, and that's the ultimate caveat, is just that if the Lions' offensive line is healthy, it's still the best in the National Football League.
My bad, Span. What you
No,
think?
I was just going to say, where you don't have to worry about depth? That is the morning show, because they have one of the most loaded rosters in the game. Join Wake Up Woodward 8 to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday. Kool-Aid, Flannel Sam, Broder, KG, JB, the gang's all there, and they're bringing you the best coverage this side of the Mississippi. Make sure you tap into Wake Up Woodward 8 to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, only on the Woodward Sports Network.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week, walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Premier Pet Supply is hands down Michigan's best pet store. Same prices and all the conveniences. The online and big box retailers with one major difference. They're family and locally owned and operated for over 30 years. With 60 brands of food and nutrition experts to help you. Same day local curbside home delivery. Premier Pet Supply. Give your pet the best. www.premierpetsupply.com.
Hey, cruising on forward, Big D Energy, Woodward Sports Network. We are live today. It is a Monday, August 12th, 2024, and we're going to have to get into
about
a topic.
74 degrees outside.
About 74 degrees outside. Yeah, I'm doing the weather report as well. Maybe that wasn't my best transition, but you know what? You can't bat 1,000. Anywho, you know what else can't bat 1,000? Backup quarterback talk. Because that is something that I feel like might be the most passionate subject, at least on today's show, amongst the chat and amongst the fellas in the room. So we watched the preseason game.
Yeah.
Nate Sudfeld looked like the worst quarterback I've ever seen. I literally watched Nate Sudfeld play and thought that I could get out there and do almost as good of a job.
Nah, for real.
It was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my
Awful.
life.
There's no way to spin that. It was terrible.
And I get it. Backups, all that, but still, Nate Sudfeld just did not look the part. We saw Hendon Hooker come in. We saw him look a hell of a lot better than Sudfeld. He made a couple throws, made a couple nice scrambles, but he did leave in concussion protocol. So we don't know when we're going to see him again, although we think it's going to be pretty soon. So the backup quarterback is something that we don't know if the Lions necessarily have a reliable one or not. We certainly don't have a known reliable one because Hendon Hooker has not played an NFL snap. We're kind of going off of potential, at least for this year. So Sean Baligian, I'm curious to ask you, should the Lions consider signing Ryan Tannehill as a backup?
Where's my boy Easy? I know Easy's been banging this a lot, right? Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Easy, and I'm not arguing with the logic because if you're thinking that way, would he be better than the two options they have right now? Yes. Steve Tannehill might be better as well. You kids look that up. Former South Carolina quarterback. Had a magnificent mullet, by the way. But I have to say this, okay? And Flannel, please don't throw Nick Foles at me. And I know what a geek you are, and I mean that with the tip of the cap. Please don't throw Jeff Hostetler at me, okay? If Jared Goff goes down, the season's over.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
It's over.
I mean, practically.
Period. You are not going to go win a Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill, Steve Tannehill, Hendon Hooker, or Nate Sudfeld. It's not going to happen, okay? And like I said, let me remind you, I don't want to hear about Nick Foles, and I don't want to hear about Jeff Hostetler. Because has it happened before? Yes. And in particular, the Nick Foles one really blows my mind.
Yes,
You're not going to win. So this is where I go back to what I said in the previous. My brain doesn't work this way. My brain doesn't work with, well, what about catastrophic injuries? If you bring up catastrophic injuries to me, I will tell you that the facts overwhelmingly support my feelings and a lot of other people's feelings out there. Jared Goff goes down. All of our best laid plans, all of I honest to God really believe the Lions are going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. That all goes out the window, doesn't it?
Yes.
If we're talking about the Super Bowl, 100,000%. If we're talking about a couple games in the pinch in the middle of the season, if Jared Goff's down for something maybe like shorter term injuries, then we might need somebody a little bit more trustworthy who can get you a couple of wins in the middle of the season. But I want to go to you, KG.
Yes, sir.
Ryan Tannehill. Is this an option for the Lions? Should they at least consider it?
I'm good on Ryan Tannehill. Because, I mean, for one, he's a poor man's Jared Goff. I mean, he hasn't really done anything that makes me feel like if he comes in a pinch, he'll be the guy to get us through the storm. And I'm also not a believer that, you know, of course, I feel like they need to sign a guy, but I'm not willing to risk any trade capital. I'm not willing to do anything like that because at this point, anybody you get is not going to be a world beater. And I feel like they do have their number 2 quarterback in-house. I mean, he only has a concussion. He'll be fine. I think you just live and die on what Hendon Hooker can provide you and really see what this kid has, because risking capital at this point or overpaying a Ryan Tannehill like you paid Teddy Bridgewater last year, I just don't see that, man. And Ryan Tannehill, at least with Teddy Bridgewater, he came in, he helped the team. Ryan Tannehill has been a guy that has proven that he's not trying to help anybody but himself. He wants a starting job in this league. I don't think he deserves one. I'm good. I'm living and dying on what Hendon Hooker can provide me.
Can I jump in really quickly?
Absolutely.
Tannehill was one of those guys that kind of went like this early in his career, and then he stayed there.
Yeah.
He really did.
Yeah.
I remember watching him and just going, oh, there's some things I really like about this guy. And if you remember, this is going back about 10 years ago, people were talking him up. People were really talking him up. And then nothing. Yeah. Like nothing, you know? And I'm not saying that he's not an NFL quarterback. I hope you know that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
He doesn't do anything for me. I think there's a reason why he's out there, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm pretty confident in Hendon Hooker, honestly. I think, like you said, Sean, if Goff, God forbid, knock on wood, goes down for a prolonged or the majority of the season, it's over. But if he goes down, you know, with a broken rib or a high ankle sprain and has to miss a couple weeks, I have faith that Hendon Hooker, behind the best offensive line in football, with a top 3 tight end, a top 5 wide receiver, the best duo of running backs, and the best offensive coordinator in football, will be able to go out there and win you a couple games. You look at the guys that have done this in the past, guys in recent years, like Jake Browning, like Cooper Rush, like Ben DiNucci, that are forced into starting roles in fantastic offenses. They go out there and they can win you games. Do I think Hendon Hooker is going to be the second coming of Nick Foles? No, I don't think he'll be able to do that, but I have the confidence that if you need him to win you a game or two, you put him in the Lions starting offense, he will be able to do that.
That's an interesting Cooper Rush one because, nobody even knew who the hell Cooper Rush was. And I'm not saying he was a world beater or anything, but he won some games.
Fantasy darling for about 3 weeks.
That's fair. Jake Browning as well last year. And one of the craziest stats about Jake Browning is the Bengals actually had a better record when he was the starter than when Joe Burrow was the starter. I'm not saying he's better. I'm just saying that he did a pretty damn serviceable job, and he wasn't really a known commodity or anything like that. I'm not saying he was as far unadvanced as Hendon Hooker, although I think even in that you could even make a bit of a comparison. I see something from Steve Lehman in the chat which I really think is interesting, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on it. Tannehill wants to still be number 1. Unfortunately, what players need to understand is that we're chasing a ring, not a bag around here, and this is, I think, the danger of a Ryan Tannehill, because I'm not necessarily completely against it, but here's what I would warn against. Ryan Tannehill thinks he's better than Jared Goff.
Yep.
He's not. Everybody knows that he's not. But Ryan Tannehill has been almost a 10-year starter in the NFL. He's had 6 seasons in which he's thrown for 20 or more touchdown passes. He's been to a Pro Bowl. He led the NFL in passer rating one year. I think Derrick Henry in the backfield had a lot to do with it, but still, Ryan Tannehill has been a pretty good quarterback in this league for a long time. Is he going to accept a backup role? I don't necessarily know about that. I think there's teams in the NFL that might suffer some injuries, that might, I would say, suffer some disbelief in their players to where Ryan Tannehill can maybe swoop in and be a starter somewhere. I don't necessarily think he's coming to Detroit to be a backup or to be a part of the team. I think he's looking for another starting job. And I don't blame him, by the way. It's just, if that's I would say, because I'm not 100% sure where I stand on this, that is my warning against. That's my con in all of this, is that Ryan Tannehill wants to be a starting quarterback.
And you have to pay a pretty penny for him. I'm good on that.
Can I go back to Steve's comment for a second? Because I think it's a brilliant comment and something that maybe flew over all of our heads, okay? How many times in the past 10, 15, 20, 25 years have we heard about a guy who's available, who, well, it's not about the bag at this point in time in his life, it's about going and getting the ring, which immediately disqualified the Detroit Lions. Mm-hmm. Whether we want to admit it or not, and like Steve, thank you. I mean, that light bulb just came on for me. The Lions are now that team.
Yep.
If a guy's looking for a ring, okay, you know what? I'm going to come here for a year. I'm going to give myself a chance to get a ring, show what I can do, and then maybe I can get a long-term contract. Why not come to Detroit? Mm-hmm. And do you know how many times, and I can tell you with 2 different general managers with the Detroit Lions, I've had these conversations that guy would fit perfectly what we want to do here, but he wants to go to a competitor. He wants to go to a legitimate contender. And frankly, I mean, more often than not, that wasn't us. We know that. We're allowed to talk about those things now without getting butthurt because of the position that we're in. But I think that's a great point, and one that maybe none of us considered is, guess what? The Lions are now that team.
Yeah.
You want to go play for a contender? You want a legitimate shot at a ring? Go to Detroit.
Sure. And
it's crazy.
Yeah, I know. You're not going to get struck by lightning. It's okay.
Right? I know, right?
But does Ryan Tannehill put any value on being a backup quarterback on a Super Bowl team?
I don't think
I
he
would
does.
probably say no. However, and this is, I don't know if this is necessarily a hot take, but here it goes. And again, knock on wood. I think that, God forbid, Jared Goff goes down with something that's even 7 or 8 weeks at least. God forbid, even worse.
Yeah.
Again, knock on wood. Ryan Tannehill is somebody that can lead you to the playoffs. With this team around him, with the offensive line, with the receivers, with the running backs.
I think so.
And that's to me, because Ed Catella says in the chat when I was talking about how he doesn't want to be a like a backup, he said, you answered your own question. Well, that's my con. My pro is that this year, if Jared Goff goes down with something catastrophic, knock on wood, that I would trust Ryan Tannehill to get this team to the playoffs more than I would trust Hendon Hooker. Although I believe in Hendon Hooker as a capable quarterback someday, Ryan Tannehill is one of those quarterbacks, you kind of alluded to it earlier. He's better than you think, or he's been better than you think. He was terrible when he played last year, but he's better than you think, and he's also won some playoff games as a starter.
But
when you brought up Spenny, when you brought up high ankle sprain, that's why I cringed when he said high ankle sprain, because, you know, it might be 4 or 5 weeks.
Right.
Or it might be 8 or 9 weeks. And it's
injury.
one of those things where, oops, I tweaked it. Oh, I thought I was close and I tweaked it. And it's almost back to the starting point. So to your point, and I'm gonna look at this both ways. I know depending on what point in time in the season. Do you have faith that Hendon Hooker could go 4-4, 5-3
Yes.
with what
Yeah.
he has at his disposal?
I do.
And
I
it-
believe 4.
Then
if
why
I-
go pick up Tannehill?
Exactly. Why did you draft the kid?
Why do it?
I mean, eventually you got to throw him out there and just see what he has if that situation comes. But yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not risking it on a guy that's not even going to come in and help this organization. Like I said, with Teddy Bridgewater, at least he was a good backup to Jared Goff. He helped J-Mo mature in a way. Like, I'm not sure if Ryan Tannehill is going to come in and be that guy for this team.
You go 5-3 in this make-believe scenario. You go 5-3 with Jared Goff out. You go 7-2. Even, how about, just for the sake of an argument, 6-3 with Jared Goff in?
Yeah.
Well, you're talking about 11 wins right there. And
Right,
I'm all
right.
about just get in the gosh damn playoffs. Like, now that you won the division, of course I want to win the division. Of course. I want more home games. Hell, I want the number 1 seed. Just get in the playoffs with what they have at their disposal, and I think this team has a damn good chance.
Yeah.
Regardless of the road.
And
I firmly believe that.
I just like Hendon Hooker's ability better, too. He's a dual threat quarterback with an offensive mind like Ben Johnson. That adds a whole nother wrinkle to defenses they have to account for.
Sure.
Ryan Tannehill is a statue. We all know that. Like I said, he's a poor man's Jared Goff. If they get to teeing off on him, he's gonna shrivel. He is.
I think calling him a statue is a little bit insulting.
Come on now. He
At
ain't no
this
Hendon
point
Hooker,
in his
though.
career, he isn't the guy he was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Sure,
Does
but
he used to move a little bit. Now he's more, how about this? Statuesque?
well,
Good.
he was
Good,
a
I
college
like
wide
that.
receiver before he was a quarterback. That's all.
get
That's
it,
all I'm
but
gonna say.
100. But he used to move a lot.
But
That's
is
fair.
an
he
NFL
doesn't move as much anymore.
right? Is an NFL defense going to be like, oh, we have to account for Ryan Tannehill's legs? No.
Probably not at this point. Probably not at this point. And for the record, I'm not pounding the table saying sign Ryan Tannehill. It's just one of those things where when you first hear about it, you almost just, your split reaction is just like, Tannehill? No. And then I thought about it a little bit, and here's the thing, Sean, and this is just my opinion. If Jared Goff were to go down for 8 weeks, you said the hypothetical 4-4. I don't know if 4-4 is necessarily good enough. I think somebody like Ryan Tannehill could maybe make you 5-3 or 6-2, and that could be the difference between a 1 seed and a 2 seed and a 3 seed. Because,
so you willing to pay $10 million for Ryan Tannehill? Because that's how much it would cost.
Maybe for a year. Maybe for 1 year.
Well, of course he'll be 1 year, but I'm just for that 1 year, you willing to pull up $10 million when they can. Maybe somebody comes across during the trade deadline that you want, but you can't do it because you pay Ryan Tannehill $10 million.
In a perfect world, I've already given you mine. I would trade a 7th rounder for Taylor Heineke for 4.5.
Yeah, and I would have loved that too. But
I know we're late, but can I?
Yeah.
You just said something about the seeds. Can I bring this up when we come back?
Absolutely, we can. That is a hell of a transition by you, Sean Belegian. But first, speaking of transitions, I got to transition over into Lady Jane sometimes and get a haircut. Although, I don't think I'm primed for one just yet. But when I am, I could go to any of their wonderful stylists who always do a great job with my hair. They do Spenmo Rax's hair as well, and they do Neil Rule and D-Max as well. How could you not go to Lady Jane's? Kurt Gibson as well. I see Gibby in there all of the time. So how could you not come to the Birmingham Lady Jane's or any of the wonderful locations all across the United States or Metro Detroit? You get your haircut, a hot towel neck massage, a shave, the premium King's treatment, and it's open 7 days a week. You don't have to make an appointment. You probably should, but you can walk in and maybe have to wait a little bit, but it is worth it. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week, open 10 to 8. It is wicked awesome.
And the Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through the 25th at Warwick Hills. Leave the golf to the pros and don't miss the party at 17. $2 birdie beers, concerts, and more. Get your tickets at allychallenge.com. Brought to you by Randy Wise Automotive.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola? Really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody! The countdown to kickoff is here. Your Detroit Lions are ready for another season of grit. Woodward Sports is your #1 destination for all breaking news and Lions coverage. We are Detroit's #1 sports network. We are Woodward Sports.
Let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people have been proven to care. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT. That's 1-800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm, your local security experts. Hey, welcome back to Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam. The man to my right is Sean Belegian. We are filling in for Neil Rule and Darren McCarty, but bringing the heat just as much. And Sean, we were talking about the backup quarterback situation, whether or not the Lions should sign Ryan Tannehill. I brought up the trade that I would make if I were the Lions GM, Brad Holmes, for Taylor Heineke, but you had a point that you teased for the audience.
I'm really intrigued to see if people are kind of in the same position that I am. And I want to clarify this before you all in the chat just start crucifying me. Of course I want the Lions to win the North again. I want the Lions to own the North for the foreseeable future. Of course, I would love nothing more than the #1 seed
Talk about it.
Go have it all in Ford Field. every bit of it so I can hear whiny little bitches like Sean McVay talk about how loud it is. I want it all, okay? Don't get me wrong. But let's play a game of pretend.
Okay.
The Lions don't win the division. Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers win the division. They finish 12-5. The Lions finish 11-6. Is that devastation for people? Are you like, seriously, are you devastated at that?
No.
Does that make you feel any less confident about what they can do in the playoffs? And before you answer, I'm going to use your boy, Patrick Mahomes, as an example.
Yeah.
Now, I understand he's one of one. He is. That's your quote, by the way. I always give you credit for that. He's one of one. But how many times do the Chiefs go, oh, cool, gosh, oh, well, we have to go to Buffalo to win a game? Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we have to go to Cincinnati to win a game. Oh, shit, you want me to go to Pittsburgh? Cool, I can do that too. And I'm not trying to be a cocky Lion fan, but guess what? I'm a cocky Lion fan. I honestly feel like the Lions can go into San Francisco and say, yeah, we remember what happened last year, but we're going to, I almost said something very crude. We're going to go pound you, okay? Hey, Green Bay, congratulations on the division win. We're going to come to Lambeau and we're going to steal your soul.
Yep.
And we're going to eat all your cheese, too. So because of that, like, honestly, Flannel, yes. I want number one. I want the division. I want the highest seed possible. But does that mean that all our plans can't come to fruition if, God forbid, they're a 5 seed?
It means it makes it a hell of a lot harder. And that's what would concern me. Because, and this is just my honest opinion, and I don't think it's controversial at all. I truly believe that if the Lions get the 1 seed and have undisputed home field advantage, that you can damn near just pencil them into the Super Bowl. I don't think anybody's coming into Ford Field in the playoffs and beating the Lions, especially with the improvements that they've made. We already saw what advantage it was last season when they had deficiencies on the team, particularly in the secondary. I don't think any NFC team is going into Detroit, into Ford Field, and winning. On the road, though, that's tough because we're talking about potentially going into Lambeau, where the Lions have had some success. We're talking about going to San Francisco, where the Lions lost last year. We're talking about going into Philly, potentially. I don't know if I necessarily would bet on the Lions to win every single one of their environments. And the elephant in the room, and a lot of people are really not going to like this, but I just have to say it, especially you, KG. I don't know if I want Jared Goff going to Philadelphia in January. I don't know if I want Jared Goff going to Green Bay in January in playoff games. I'm just saying.
I hear you.
I want it at Ford Field for every single game
I think
if
that's
possible.
fair. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people that are going to have a lot of problem with it in the chat. Spenny, you know.
Yeah. Go ahead, Spen.
It's true. No, I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, but I get what you mean. Of course, the cold weather golf argument, is still something that exists, but I don't care about the results. I've been saying that all throughout the year. Get in playoffs, win in playoffs. That's all I care about at this point. If it's at the cost of the division, fine. If it's at the cost of the number 1 seed, fine. All I care about is this team getting to the playoffs and winning in the playoffs. And it's possible. Look at what the Chiefs did last year. They kind of backdoored into the playoffs. If you want to go older than that, look back at some of those New York Giant teams that was facing Tom Brady back in the day. Damn near went 8-8 and somehow ended up in the Super Bowl. Like, it is possible. And the Lions, maybe if this was an older iteration of the Lions, I'd be more concerned. But over the last few years, they've proven to be a way better road team than they were in years prior. So, I mean, if I got to take my chances, fine. But the results are all that matter.
That 2011 Giant team in particular is the one that blows my mind. I mean, they literally had to get in the last game of the year. It was the Sunday night game. All year long, they had, like, next to no pass rush.
Struggle.
And then all of a sudden, they got the most ferocious defensive front four in the history of mankind.
I swear.
And they made Tom Brady's life miserable.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that works itself out. So I'm not saying using the small example to speak for the large, but would I feel more confident if the Lions were at home? You're absolutely right. I love their chances. If they've got home field advantage, I love their chances. I'm going to grab his pencil and start penciling the Lions in. But I'm telling you right now, my heart isn't going to break if the Lions are a 5 seed. I think this team has developed a credit line across the board. It isn't just about Dan Campbell anymore. It isn't just about Brad Holmes anymore. It's about this whole team mentality that they're going to be like, okay, cool, doubt us again. We're going to show you wrong again. I mean, that would be an incredible story, Spenny.
It would be great. It would be awesome to see, but I don't want to see it. It'd be a great story.
No, I don't want to see it either.
Yeah,
Don't get
but
me
like
wrong.
if you get the 1 seed and you're the Lions, next year you only have to play 3 outdoor games. If you get the 1 seed in the playoffs, you got home field advantage. You would only have to play 3 outdoor games all year. One of them being in San Francisco. You're going to San Francisco in the regular season, that's fine. One of them being in Lambeau in the middle of the season, so the weather's really not going to be too bad. And the last one being Chicago towards the end of the year. That one is probably going to be pretty bad, but that's the only game you have to worry about the outdoor or cold weather if you get the number 1 seed and home field advantage. And on top of that, it's not just playing in the Dome, it's playing in Ford Field, playing in front of the Detroit Lions fans, playing in this atmosphere that Sean McVay went on Bussin' with the Boys and said was the loudest environment he's ever been in as a head coach. Ford Field last year, week 1 playoff game, he said was a crazier atmosphere than the Superdome in the NFC Championship game. That means something.
Yep.
That means something. That helps the players. It hurts the opposing players. Like, that is important. Lions fans did that. Lions fans are going to continue to do that. That is another reason why we need to win the home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
I want it more than air, food, water, and shelter.
Yeah.
I can't stress that enough. Yeah. But just hearing you talk about that again, following this whole, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? And oh my gosh, we went 4-4 with Hendon Hooker at quarterback, and gosh damn it would have been nice to win the division. A Lions team healthy going into the playoffs, I like their chances.
Damn right.
I'd rather be at home, win the division, do all those things that Spenny just said. Spenny, you're 100% right, no doubt about that. But God forbid that type of scenario that we brought up earlier happens. I still like Are they healthy going into the playoffs? Okay, cool. I like their chances. I think they're the best team in the NFC.
Oh, yeah, if they're healthy going – and I get what you're saying. What you're basically saying is that if they get a wild card, again, God forbid, that you're not panicking.
No.
You think that they can still make it to the Super Bowl. Yes. And then when you get to the Super Bowl, you obviously have a chance to win it. I understand that. I just, as a fan, I want their job to be as easy as humanly
100%.
possible. And I also think there's the element of – and I get it, the division's harder, having maybe taken a step back, going from 2 home playoff games one year to not playing a single home playoff game the next year. Yeah. I think that's a little bit disappointing, but as you said before, this Lions team can do it. My confidence is higher than damn near any team that I've ever rooted for, that a home playoff games would end in victories for the Detroit Lions.
Most definitely.
I definitely don't feel that confident about them going on the road.
Well, this is the point in time in the season, let's be honest, in the preseason season, that we're talking about all these dumb hypotheticals.
Yes, yes.
And so if we're talking about all these dumb hypotheticals because we're waiting for these dumb games to get over so we can get to real football, I mean, if we're going to talk about Hendon Hooker and going 4-4 and 5-3, to me the next natural step is, okay, if that happens, well then maybe we have to entertain the thought that we don't win the division. Of course, I want the division. I want all of that. I want all of those things that come with it. But I think it's a testament to where this franchise is right now and where this team is right now, KG.
Yeah.
That even if it doesn't happen, I still like their chances.
I'm just in the boat that we can't make excuses for this team, man. If they are a top NFC team like we believe they are, they have to find ways to 100%. Do it. If they got to go on the road throughout the playoffs, find ways to win. That's what the great teams do. Like, this is not the same Lions team.
Why does it smell like pecan wee-whiz in here?
That drop every time. But this is not the same Lions team from years past, man. We believe that they are a Super Bowl contender. And if that's the case, you got to do what you got to do.
That is a great point. And I think what you're saying is the same thing that a lot of us are saying. Regardless of if they're the 5 seed, if they sneak in, if they win the division, if they go undefeated, lose 1 or 2 games, this season is Super Bowl or bust. No matter how you get in the playoffs, you got to get there and you got to win it, or it is a failed season, because that's the waters the Lions are swimming in now. Sir. And that is pretty damn phenomenal considering where it was even just a couple of years ago. Do you know what else is pretty damn phenomenal? Getting your insurance at Swiss. I'm glad you asked, KG. Now more than ever, it is critical for you to have your insurance reviewed. Swiss Insurance will make sure your carrier is not slipping in extra fees. Call Mark at Swiss Insurance today at 313-530-1698 or visit their website at swissins.com.
At Planet Fitness, you can get everything you need for just $1 down. Try out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk. Hey, y'all better get on these free fitness training sessions from Planet Fitness.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home? Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
Join Planet Fitness today and get everything you need for just $1 down. $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Thursday, July 18th.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today. Game is won in the trenches, and our big fellas don't mess around. The Woodward Heavyweights on Woodward Sports. Thank you to the Detroit Lions and Sheila Hamp for the best season in Lions history. Now it's time to let Brad Holmes cook. Woodward Sports.
Join the best youth football league in Metro Detroit. The Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Michigan's 3C Sports League offers youth ages 5 to 14 with 6 exciting teams to choose from in Detroit, Belleville, Highland Park, and East Point. All coaches are trained, certified, and undergo background checks. Register for football and cheer at bgcsm.org. Equipment, meals, and transportation included for a chance to play the championships at Ford Field for just $175 per child. Put the youth back in youth sports with BGCSM 3C Sports.
Hey, welcome back to the second hour of Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam.
Keeping it pushing.
Keeping it pushing. We got Sean Belegian to my right. We got KG in the audio booth and Spencer Raxter in the TD booth. And while we're talking about Lions hypotheticals, which is among the most fun stuff to talk about in sports, at least at this point in Lions history, let's do another. And I don't even know if it's necessarily a Lions hypothetical. It's just a question. I'm going to start with you, Sean Belegian. Who needs to be the MVP of the Lions season for them to reach their goals? What individual player do you think unlocks everything or continues?
That's the easy
Period.
Low hanging fruit.
No, that's it. Sorry. I wish, if I was playing along with the bit, I could think of another name. But if I'm shooting straight with you, it's Jared Goff. I mean, again, this is a quarterback league, and now nobody can deny it. For years, people tried to, use some of those old adages, defense wins Super Bowl, all that crap. Guys, the league has changed. The rules have changed. Jared Goff. And like Spenny, I'm one of those guys. I crapped on Jared Goff, deservedly so, because he was really struggling towards the end with the Rams in his first year here. But you have to give the man credit. Jared Goff. I can't stress this enough, Jared Goff.
KG?
If I had to try to be different, I guess I would say Hutch. Because obviously Jared Goff is the most important. But defensively, if the Lions can match what the defensively what they've done offensively, then this team is primed for a Super Bowl. And that all starts and ends with Aiden Hutchinson. Now, Sam, I know, once again, this is no Hutch hate. He can take another step. Mm-hmm. He is very, very good right now, but he can get to an elite status if he takes another step up. And if he takes another step up, the defense as a whole takes another step up. And then the Lions are damn near probably in the Super Bowl at that point.
All right, I'll be different and say unnamed edge. How's that? To help Hutch get to that level.
Yeah,
because I think there's
agree.
another level there. And that's
Absolutely
no diss against the guy. I think so how about unnamed edge? Spencer Raxter comes in and does everything coming from there. That dude's the most important, because then that could be the catalyst to get Hutch. Yeah. Like I saw it with Ndamukong Suh. Ndamukong Suh was sick. He was mad. Yeah. But you know what? You add Cliff Averill to that equation. Yep. Let everybody talk about Cliff Averill's stats. What the coaching staff was talking about was how Ndamukong Suh was getting doubled and tripled every time and still making plays and allowing other guys to be the benefactor from it.
And Nick Fairley to a smaller degree.
I did have a 4-sack game against New Haven in my career. So
shout out Spin. Get him a contract.
I can do it.
Sign that man.
But for me, honestly, I think it is Hutchinson. I look at it like, I think at this point, we know what Jared Goff is. We know what this offense is. We know they're going to be one of the best offenses in football. I have faith that Jared Goff's going to go out there and do what he did the past 2 years, and that's have a top 10 quarterback season in this league. If Aiden Hutchinson can go out there and instead of being with Trey Hendrickson and those types of edge, be with Myles Garrett and TJ Watt in conversations and have 17, 18, 19 sacks, I could see this team winning 13 or 14 games. Like, it is that big of a difference. If Aiden Hutchinson could take the shine off of the offense by being so damn good and being a defensive player of the year candidate, this team could be one of the best. Well, I already think they're going to be one of the best teams in football, but they could be the absolute, no doubt, Super Bowl frontrunner.
And I'm going to make it a clean sweep other than Sean Baligian, but add a little bit more to it. I think that it's Aiden Hutchinson. And obviously everybody knows I'm a Hutch slappy, but let me just say this. And I don't think he is, by the way. If Aiden Hutchinson is at his ceiling, just given the help that's around him, I think he's going to get home a couple of more times, and he's going to continue to be one of the greatest disruptors in the game, be solid against the run, all of that. Just be an all-around perennial Pro Bowl defensive end and a guy who finishes his career with 100-plus sacks. However, given the help that's around him, which I know there's some worries about the other defensive end, but given hopefully a full healthy season of Aleem, DJ Reader, and then even Marcus Davenport by himself is better than what they had last year. Given all of that, if Aiden Hutchinson actually has another gear to go to, which I believe he does, we're talking about him making the All-Pro this year. We're talking about the defense in terms of points allowed per game being no doubt top 15, maybe even top 10. And if they get to top 10, that's when we can start talking about maybe 13, 14 wins, 1 seed, and all of that. So to me, Aiden Hutchinson unlocks everything. Aiden Hutchinson could, if he really takes that next step with the help, he could be maybe the most impactful defensive player in football in terms of what he's doing for this team. It's going to help out the secondary, which is relying on a couple of very promising rookies to be amongst 2 of the most impactful players in the secondary. It unlocks everything for this defense. So to me, the answer is Aiden Hutchinson. If he has an All-Pro or Defensive Player of the Year season, I have no doubt in my mind that the Lions are getting the 1 seed. And their defense is top 10, top 15 for sure, maybe even top 10.
Do you know what pisses me off? And I always go back to this, going back to 2014. I mean, the Lions had a damn good defense that year. You know, the 11-5 year and everything. If you just got a little bit more out of that offense, just a little bit more out of that offense, what might have been. And I mean that in all sincerity. And look, I talked to enough guys then and now that knew the difference between 10 years ago and now is those guys knew that window was slowly closing. That may have been their last run. And as it turned out, it really was. And the difference being is if they would have had just that little oomph that you guys just talked about, that catalyst could have been huge, and who knows what they might have done this year. And I think you all bring up a good point about this defense. We know what the offense is. We do. That's a fair statement. That's a given. We know how important it is. But if you get something you didn't expect, one of those, years like a 2014 year. Could you imagine like that?
Man.
And it wasn't like they were great. It wasn't like they were evoking images of the Ravens or evoking images of the 85 Bears or anything like that. That was a damn good defense. You give me a little bit of that. 14-3. I don't feel like a slapdick spitting out 14-3 at all. Zero, zilch.
Yeah, and of course, when we talk about 14-3, I gave it with the caveat of the help is enough. Aiden Hutchinson becomes possibly a defensive player of the year. And and as much as I love him, he's got another progression to go before he gets to that. But if he does, just given the ability of an impactful edge rusher that kills the other team's quarterback to be a force multiplier for a defense, 14-3 is not outside the realm of possibility. I know they have a tough schedule and all of that, but we're talking about Aiden Hutchinson potentially being a defensive player of the year. And I don't even think, even though it's coming from me, if he hits that next gear, considering the excellent season he had last season and the excellent first 2 games of the playoffs, I don't think that's crazy. I think All-Pro is maybe a little bit more likely than Defensive Player of the Year this year, but being all-pro in this era of edge rushers is as impressive as it gets. I'll just say that.
You know what? To your point, and I'm glad to hear you say that, because I think sometimes people look at it as a show of disrespect if you don't say that Hutch is all that right now, okay? And so hearing you say that, I give you a tip of the cap. There's more. Like, especially the moments that he flashed down the stretch, the Bears game, right? Those moments, I want more of that.
Yes.
And I firmly believe that more of that can be had and will be had. And I hate to bring up your boy J-Mo, okay? You love your... I want more of what we saw down the stretch from J-Mo. Now, they're at two different places. I hope you know that. Yes, they're at two different places.
We know, Sam. Okay.
But do you understand do you understand that I'm saying?
Yes.
That J-Mo that I saw down the stretch, I'm like, give me more. Inject giving him the ball.
Yes.
Just inject that in me. 5-8 times a game. Make sure that you find a way to get that guy the ball. And I think the same thing can be here. I'm going to do it for you, so you don't have to do it. The same thing can be said for Hutch. As good as he is, you know what? I want him to get to that point where guys are going, why are we even having this? That is a great defensive player. Stop it. When you don't have to ask that question, I think that's the point that Hutch can get to. I really do.
No, and that's 100% fair. I definitely had my arguments with pretty much everybody in here, the chat, Neil Rule, about Aiden Hutchinson. And my point with him has always been, of course there's another gear. I mean, I damn near did a backflip when the Lions drafted him. I loved watching him at Michigan. I've loved watching him ever since he came here, especially in the playoffs. It's just that even if he doesn't take a step, which he will, I still think he's a top 8 edge rusher in the league, no doubt about it. Maybe creeping at top 6. It's just, if he can be top 3, he's got the talent.
Yes, he
and
does.
now he's got the help around him. And I'll tell you what, if he has a 17-sack season, it'll be a hell of a lot more impactful than the seasons that Daniil Hunter and Trey Hendrickson had last year, given that I think Hutch is a much better disruptor. He's better against the run than all of them. I think that his ceiling is somebody like a Nick Bosa, or at least like prime defensive player of the year winning Nick Bosa.
I agree.
That's fair.
It'll be fun to see the progression because I think people this isn't a grizzled veteran, man. There's still a level there, and especially as they find a way to get him more help. I hope again that help comes in the form of bringing somebody from the outside. I don't know what the answer is right now. I'm not saying Kaminsky was the answer, but I know I'd rather have a guy like that in the lineup, and now you have to find a guy like that to really, I think, give him the charge and take some pressure off him so he can run amok like we saw so often last year.
I think Terrell Williams is going to play a big role in that. Bringing in a guy that Dan Campbell said is the best defensive line coach in the NFL. You look at what the defensive line looked like in that first preseason game. These are 4th and 5th string guys, and they were getting after it. They were looking good. They were in the backfield. Mekhi Wingo, Uwu, like a couple guys that I didn't even know were getting pressure on him a lot. And I think that'll help Hutchinson a lot. Having Lee McNeil hopefully healthy for a whole season will help Hutchinson a lot. I'm excited. I expect a big year out of Hutch.
I think DJ Reader is enough. I think he is the missing piece because he eats up 2 blocks. You no longer can chip, triple, double Hutch at that point. If he stays healthy, look what he did for Trey Hendrickson. I'm just saying, 17 sacks. Hutch has the motor to get that and more. So with DJ Reader healthy, I really feel like he is the missing piece that's this defense has been missing.
Man, we're talking about we're talking about someone potentially being a defensive player of the year candidate, and if he hits his ceiling, the Lions winning like 14 games. That's an incredible, what a time to be alive, right? But you know what? While you're alive and enjoying and basking in all of this Lions Kool-Aid, Mark White.
Mark White, he can help you buy a new house. You can get a brand new living room to watch the Lions win a Super Bowl in. Dreaming of buying a new home but feeling the financial pinch? Mark White & Associates, your trusted real estate experts, will help you by paying up to $5,000 of your closing costs. That's right, I said $5,000. Call Mark White & Associates today at 248-290-8242 or visit markwhitesells.com. Again, call Mark White today at 248-290-8242. Mark White and his team will make your dreams come true.
Stop searching for a vehicle and start finding one. Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac makes makes it easy. We harness the power of multiple dealerships and own the biggest selection of GM brands in the area to get you the car you need. With the Les Stanford Group, you'll have access to 4 different dealerships, providing you with more makes, more models, and more choices. We're connected to more than 1,000 vehicles, and with so many high-quality CPO vehicles available, you'll find new car quality at pre-owned prices. You can start and end your search at lesstanford.com today.
The countdown to kickoff is here. Your Detroit Lions are ready for another season of grit. Woodward Sports is your #1 destination for all breaking news and Lions coverage. We are Detroit's #1 sports network. We are Woodward Sports. Enough Detroit sports. Make sure you listen to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz next, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the Woodward Sports Network.
Since 1996, Feldman Automotive has been driven to provide a fast, convenient, and first-class car buying experience called the Feldman Advantage. With 18 locations, there's a Feldman dealership in your backyard. Visit feldmanauto.com to find the closest location near you. And join us this Wednesday at Feldman Automotive of Novi, where the Woo Crew and Big D Energy will be broadcasting live. So make sure you go check it out. Feldman Chevrolet, Detroit's #1 Chevy dealer.
Welcome back to Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network. And yes, if you guys come to Feldman and do some car shopping, you can hang out with Woo Crew and Big D Energy as well, minus Spencer Raxter, of course, because you know what? He's got to worry about the heavyweights.
True.
That's his #1 priority, and you know what? We love him for it because that is a hell of a show. But welcome back.
Appreciate you.
And I am Flannel Sam. We've got Sean Belegian to my right, and I know, Sean Belegian, you're going to be excited about this. I want to talk some college football. I know you are ready to go to the cider mill and watch college football more than anything in the world, and I am as well. They have a really nice one in Northville. They have a really nice one in
Is it a
Northville.
coincidence, Flannel, that my home cider mill opens the same day that college football opens?
Nice.
I don't think that's a coincidence.
Nice.
I don't think that's a coincidence.
Yeah, that's a guy.
No,
man.
I'm with you, man. We're 12 days away. I don't care what anybody says. I love week 0. I wish college football would do a better job of putting a few more games in week 0 and even loading up those couple of Saturdays or Sundays leading up to the NFL. I think college football is missing a golden opportunity to do that, man.
Hey, I don't hate it at all. More college football more early on is a blessing. But Sean, I don't necessarily want to put you on the spot, but I have to ask because I know you are as plugged in as any, as excited as any. Do you have any what you would call bold college football predictions or takes?
I'm going to hate myself for saying this, okay?
Right.
But I think all the people that are handing out playoff spots in our backyard have to look at this a little bit closer. I don't think it's going to be as easy as some people make it out to be because you got to remember, the SEC is going to make their claims. The ACC is going to make their claims. Fraudulent or not, you know they're going to find a way to get a couple in. The Big 12, they're going to get their claims in. Then you're going to get the at-large, which I've already told you weeks ago, and I'm going to stick by it. Liberty's getting in whether you like it or not, okay? So there we have it. I don't know, Flannel, if there's a path there, and I'm getting ready for your eyes to just burn fire at me. I don't know if there's a path for Michigan to get into the playoff. I don't. And do you know what I worry about? And this is please forgive me because nobody has bashed this man as much as I have. Nobody has bashed this man as much as I have. Look at Penn State's fraudulent schedule. It is absolutely fraudulent. Mm-hmm. Yes. And James Franklin is going to pull a Franklin every year and lose a game or two he has no business losing. But in this new year, let's play a game of pretend. They go 10-2. How do you keep Penn State out?
Man, and I'm so glad that you mentioned all of that because if I have a bold college football take, and it is extremely bold, and a lot of this has to do with schedules, so just hear me out. The Big Ten is getting 5 teams in.
Oh,
5.
I mean,
it's because of the schedule. Do we have any qualms with Ohio State and Oregon?
No.
I think Michigan is getting in. I think they're going 10-2. I think they're beating Texas, and I think that
Ohio. If you beat Texas, all bets are off.
Sure, and then I think if they beat, like Oregon and OSU are more coin flips than you think. Although going to Columbus is going to be tough, but we'll see. And maybe Michigan will let a team hang around a little bit too. It'll be a little too close for comfort, like last season's Maryland. But I think it'll all end up with them being 10-2. I think Penn State will get in because of their schedule and because they're very talented. They've got Abdul Carter, Julian Fleming transfer. I think Drew Aller's a pretty good quarterback. They got a running back. They have 6 of the top 135 on the PFF big board, and I think the only game they're losing is to Ohio State. But do you know who else I think is?
Ooh, you got him 11-1?
I am at 11-1.
Okay, all right.
Do you know who else I have at 11-1? Iowa.
Yeah.
The Iowa Hawkeyes.
Wow.
Have you seen their schedule? They don't play Oregon, they don't play Michigan, they don't play Penn State. They'll go to Columbus and get clapped. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But if they can win at UCLA, if they can win at home against Wisconsin, if they can win at MSU.
Not going to happen.
Hey, maybe not.
Mormon
Y'all
power.
better not let it happen.
Iowa, the pathway
McNamara.
is there. And I get it. Cade McNamara, he did not look good that other day in practice, at least like all reports show. But he's been a starter at 2 schools. I think he's better than what they've had in very recent years, like whoever they had last year. Deacon Hill. Deacon Hill was terrible because Cade McNamara got hurt. If he comes back and he's healthy, I think they're an 11-1 team, and their secondary is really good. It's one of the best in the country. They got an NFL linebacker, an NFL tight end. I think 5 teams from the Big Ten is making the college football playoff, and Penn State and Iowa almost entirely due to schedule. It's a thing. It's not like Penn State and Oregon and Ohio. They're not all beating up on each other.
I'm not arguing with the schedule part. I'm not. I think one thing that you are forgetting, and this is why I said I am forgetting, is James Franklin. You know it as well as I do. Yeah. And Spenny, you know this. In the woulda, coulda, shoulda, didn't department, that shit Michigan State team should have beaten Iowa last year.
Yep.
Period. End of story. I mean, that game, in my mind, was over.
Fucking Jay Johnson.
Now, let me say this. And again, I can't say you're wrong, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you you're wrong. If they get in 5, how many does the SEC get in?
2 or 3.
All right, so let's 8. We're at 8. Let's say 3. How many does the ACC get in?
1 or 2.
Well, that would be 10. How many does the Big 12 get in?
1.
Just 1?
Yes.
Okay. I can't say you're wrong. I'm not going to be a dick and go, you're wrong. I just, boy, I can't imagine any conference, including the mighty SEC, getting 5 in. I just can't.
And one of the reasons, too, why I bring up the Big Ten, because I did my contingencies and all of that. I said this last Friday when we were at Dispo on Big D Energy. I think Alabama takes a big step back this year. I think with their schedule, given that they don't have Nick Saban, given all of the players that are gone from this team, I think that they're an 8-win regular season team. I think they have 4 losses. I mean, think about this, guys. Think about this. Listen to all that they lost. J.C. Latham, Dallas Turner, Terrion Arnold, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Chris Braswell, Jermaine Burton, Justin Aboigbe, Jace McClellan, and they lost Isaiah Bond and Caleb Downs to transfer, and they didn't really replenish it with as much known talent as you would think. They got a couple of really nice guards. They got Keon Sabb from Michigan, another nice safety, and Malachi Moore. But when you look at this talent on this Alabama team, to me, it's the worst since before Saban. I know their quarterback's coming back, but...
So, in other words, this is a typical Alabama offseason.
Yep.
I mean,
No,
yes, we
stop
have these
it.
I still
conversations
need to
every
see it.
year. I mean,
Every single
honestly,
year.
we do.
Alabama had 12 dudes drafted.
This is where I'll get your back, is Nick Saban's not there.
Exactly, but he's still...
I'm sorry,
I mean,
that's the difference.
Alabama-
To me, that's the
I
difference.
still need to
Happens
see
every
it
year.
first.
Okay, but the talent coming back is not what it was. We saw it last year. We knew that it wasn't going to be quite the same at the skill position, and it turned out that way. Jace McClellan is fine. He's not what they're used to. Jermaine Burton is fine. Isaiah Bond was fine. It's not what Alabama was used to. Jalen Milroe was fine. It's not what Alabama was used to with like the Bryce Youngs.
So who are your 3 SEC teams? Georgia and who else?
It would be I think Georgia, LSU. I think it might be Georgia, LSU, and Ole Miss. And I don't know if LSU.
Texas isn't going to make it?
I don't think Texas is going to make it. I think they lost a lot too, and because of their schedule. I got Alabama
You're still there?
I got Alabama at 4 losses and Texas at 3.
All these teams losing so much and not falling apart, but Michigan isn't.
But Michigan's got 4 of the top 18 in the PFF Big Board. No school in America has that.
They're all on defense? Or, well, 3 of them are on
3 of
defense.
them are on defense.
And Donovan Edwards.
I
mean,
Colson Loveland.
Colson Loveland?
Yeah,
Donovan
Colson
Edwards wasn't up there?
No, he's like in the 90s, but he's
good,
projected to be in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
And then they got Jayshon Barnum at.
I don't think enough people are taking and again, using your criteria or my criteria, I think the overall point remains to me this year. This is a journey none of us have taken.
Yeah.
So I can't say you're right, or anybody else is right out there. I just think with all things being considered, and this is the bell that I've been ringing, okay? A lot of people sit back and say, well, 9-3 might be good enough to get you in. It might be for some teams, and it might not be for other teams, right? And I'm going to use what you just said as an example to help me out. There are some schedules out there that, all right, for the sake of an argument, okay? I'm going to pretend that Iowa goes 11-1.
Yeah.
I'm going to pretend that Iowa goes 11-1. Let's even play that game and pretend that Iowa fraudulently goes back to the Big Ten championship game, okay? They, once again, sacrificial lamb. So let me ask you, they're 11-2. Penn State, Michigan, 9-3. Who does the committee take?
And you got to think Notre Dame's going to get in there too.
Bam.
No, I understand. That's tough.
But you
get penalized for losing the Big Ten championship.
I've been trying to make this argument for
I get
weeks.
it, but quality of loss would still matter in this
I
case.
think it should. You're right.
Yeah.
But again, all things considered equal, and this is where I'd love to be in the room when they had these conversations.
They taking Michigan over Penn State.
Iowa's
Come on now.
11-1 and didn't beat Dick. Okay. Michigan's 9-3 and they lost to 3 damn good teams who were all going to the playoff. Let's assume that they lose to Texas, because I'm with you. Michigan goes 10-2, it's over. Michigan's going in, you're out your mind if you don't think they're going in. What do you do at that point in time? Or you know who I'm going to say it again. I think Miami could be a fraudulently good team this year. I do.
Say that,
I think Miami could be and I think their quarterback has a really good chance.
You think they take an ACC team over a Big Ten team that they are really trying to push?
If you finish in the scenario that he just talked about, if you're 10-2, if you're, God forbid, 11-1 or something like that, I'd be terrified. I would be, especially if you have a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate, which I think they do this year. And just in some of the conversations, sorry to be the douche, I'm a Heisman voter. Some of the conversations that I've had with other guys, his name keeps coming up for a reason. Now, I'm not going to sit there and pretend like I know everything about this game, but that's one of those names on the radar. And he's another coach, by the way. While we're at it, you have to account for the fact that Cristobal is going to fuck up.
Yes.
Like you set your watch to it like Franklin. He's going to fuck up. So that's what's cool about this season, though, is... like I said, I'm not going to argue with you that it's going to go your way, but I think there's going to be some damn good 9-3 teams out there, and God forbid, some brands, they're going to be sitting at home.
True, but they are going to favor the SEC and the Big Ten because
there's no question about it.
Especially the Big Ten with the new realignment and everything. They want to push that as much as they can.
I still think in that order, though. I still think it's going to be SEC.
Well, yeah,
and
SEC,
Big Ten.
yeah.
It's going to be fun. I can't wait for this. This is all new for all of us, you know?
Well, and just for the record, because when I say that Michigan is going to make the playoff and that Alabama is going to win 8 games, I'm not saying that they're so far apart in terms of skill level, in terms of quality of team. We talk about Michigan having a more difficult schedule than in recent years. They are home against Oregon, they're home against Texas, they are at Ohio State. I'm taking a little gander at Alabama's schedule. Home against Georgia, I'd probably pick them to lose. At Tennessee, at LSU, at Oklahoma, at Wisconsin. That's a lot of road games for a team that is not as talented as previous Alabama teams. I don't care what anybody says. You can say that they replenish and all of that. This isn't from even a few years ago. It's just not.
I get you.
I know that
I just need to see it first.
That's fine. You're going to see it this year, and that's my prediction. And even Texas, you've got at Michigan. I think they're going to lose that one. Home versus Georgia, the Red River rivalry versus Oklahoma, neutral, and then at A&M. And I think A&M is a sneaky good one as well.
I do too, actually. It's funny you say that.
Hey, Connor Wigman.
You know what? But and this goes back to what we were just talking about too. You know, let's not forget. Here we're talking about some of the sneakies. What about little Iowa State? And I'm not being funny. Look at what Iowa State has, and look at their schedule.
Cyclone.
What are the chances a team like that kind of swoops in or does something? You know what I mean?
I like Mizzou too.
Those are the things that, like, we have to take this all into consideration. Spenny, you're right. It's almost like, oh, yeah, and then there's Notre Dame. Because as sure as I'm sit here and breathe, Notre Dame goes 9-3, they're going to be in the playoff.
Yeah.
don't know
you
about
better all
9-3.
accept it. You better all accept. Come on, you've
They
been
can't
around
lose a
long
3
enough.
on that schedule.
You've been around long enough. If they can find a way to get
it's
Notre
a
Dame
brand
in,
that they want.
they're going to
Yeah.
find a way to get Notre
It's a
Dame in.
brand that
I'm
they
not saying
want.
it's right. I hope you know that. I'm not, with all due respect to Rocco Spindler and the Spindler family, I'm not saying it's right. But if there is a door for them to slide Notre Dame in, they're going to find a way to do it, man.
I think it depends on what other teams do. 9-3.
That's the huge. But now you're making my argument. That's
all right.
9-3 this year is not the given that other people. I think all things considered equal, though, if you have 9-3 Notre Dame, say, let's use A&M.
Yeah.
9-3 A&M, they're going to take Notre Dame
For sure.
You have 9-3 Notre Dame, Iowa State. They're going to take Notre Dame. Like that's just the way it is.
Not the Fighting Brock Purdy's or Brees Halls, but no. Hey, that's they were in the back. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
In the backfield at the same time. They had some good teams. But anywho, this is not Cyclone Radio. This is Woodward Sports. And Woodward Sports is sponsored by KDK Law.
Yeah, if you figure out you're married to a Notre Dame fan, you might have to go to KDK Law because if you're dealing with divorce, child custody, visitation, or other family issues, Kevin and Catherine at KDK Law in Birmingham will have your back. 10 plus years of experience, 24/7 availability. Scan the QR code on the screen or call 248-971-0476. Say Woodward Sports sent you and KDK Law will pay your filing fee. KDK Law, they've got your back.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola? Really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody!
The Ally Challenge presented by McLaren is back August 22nd through 25th at Warwick Hills and Grand Blanc. Be there for PGA Tour Champions Golf, Family Night, concerts, and more. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours at allychallenge.com today.
The countdown to kickoff is here. Your Detroit Lions are ready for another season of grit. Woodward Sports is your #1 destination for all breaking news and Lions coverage. We are Detroit's #1 sports network. We are Woodward Sports.
What happens when you run a great business for over 50 years? You expand and offer more products to more people. This is exactly what Les Stanford did by adding Les Stanford Buick GMC. The same great service that customers have come to know and trust on Woodward Avenue just south of 9 Mile. Check out Les Stanford in Dearborn Day at lesstanford.com. Les Stanford Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Welcome back to Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network, and I have absolutely loved our Lions conversations, our college football conversation. Been an absolute blast, but let me bring down the mood just a little bit. The Detroit Tigers. The reason that I ask about them, we're not going to break down their series at San Francisco. How'd you like? No, 2-4-8. No. But anywho, the Scott Harris was talking about a core before the season, identifying a core. And I think we as Tigers fans have different ideas of maybe who the core is or who's in it, who's not, who may be, who may not be. But do you think the Tigers, I want to ask you two questions. A, do you think the Tigers have identified their core? And B, what's your core?
I think the answer to A is for the most part. Mm-hmm. I think for the most part. And unfortunately, we have to continue a year away from being a year away for another year.
I know. Right?
I mean, come on, right? Yeah. That's the reality of it, you know. To me, now, who is my core? I can't say yet. And here's why. We haven't seen enough of these guys. I refuse to go down the Al Avila road that so many of you went down. Whether you want to admit it or not, I don't care. I lived it.
Yeah.
Where we were talking about these myths. I mean, all the names. You guys know all the names, okay? I refuse. I want to see it now. I'm sorry. I want to see a bigger sample size of Dingler. I want to see Sweeney. I want to see all these things because before they just said, "Oh, just wait." And when I would go look at the numbers, because Google is your friend, I would go, "Guys, are you?" No, I'm not talking to you because I know you do it all the time. Am I missing something? Because I'm told that I have to go look at this easy guy, and his numbers are shit. Like, am I missing something? And that was the case with so many of these guys. So for me, unfortunately, Flannel, I'm jaded guy right now. In my brain, I have a general idea who I'd like to see, but I'm at show me now. I mean, we're coming up on 8 years of them trying to pawn all these coochie-coo prospects at us. Now you have to show me. I don't want to hear it anymore. Now you have to show me.
That's fair, especially considering I feel like when it comes to every single core member, no matter if you think that if they can play or cannot, there's question marks about all of them, glaring question marks about even the ones that we think the highest of and have accomplished the most. So, KG, I got to ask you the same question. A, do you think the Tigers have identified their core? And B, what would be your core?
I'm much like Sean up here. I believe they have identified their core. Not exactly sure, but if I had to pick Riley Green, Colt Keith, as of right now, Terrence Skubal. If you want to throw Reese Olson in there, fine.
Dingler, Sweeney.
I'm still not counting Dingler.
Well, they are. I'm sorry. I don't want to speak for you. They are. They are.
I think Justin Henry, Malloy has done enough to garner, core talk. I feel like Kerry Carpenter has shown enough this year. If he can come back healthy, he's in that core as well. And I think that's it. And maybe you argue Winsell Perez, but, I mean, that's your core going forward. Now, I think that's a good enough core that you can build upon, but it's all going to come down to what's been the problem with the Tigers all along. How much money are you willing to spend? And if you truly believe in Scott Harris's draft, being able to identify talent and all that, how are you going to facilitate this team until your young guys are up here? And then once they're up here, of course, they're not going to take the league by storm. You need to have a foundation in place in order for them to, get around the learning curve.
Can I jump in really quickly before we hear from you, Spen? I thought my buddy Tony Paul did a great job of pointing something out in lieu of what the Tigers did and did not do at the trade deadline. One thing that we have to take into consideration here, all the names you just mentioned, all the names you mentioned, all the names that you mentioned, all the names that everybody mentioned, how many of them are Harris guys?
Not a lot.
That counts for something.
That's
I don't
true,
care what anybody says.
This is why this year was an evaluation year, though, because there's a lot of Al Avila guys still left in our
You got it. And Tony brought that up, and I don't remember if it was an article or a tweet or something. I was like, gosh damn it, Paul, that's another great point. Because, I mean, really, that's – so maybe he's slow playing this because, well, it could be, A, maybe some of these guys don't got it and he knows it. Or B, he wants this to be – I don't want people talking about these Avila guys. Mm-hmm. I want them talking about Harris guys. I think it's an interesting question and maybe, just maybe, one that answers why they weren't as aggressive.
That's interesting. Scott Harris guys off the top of my head, Justin Henry Malloy, and then guys like Max Clark and Bryce Rayner.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And to me, you can't really judge Scott Harris until his guys get up here. I know there's still a little bit of ways from now. You can judge him on, trades and things of that nature, but you can't truly judge him until his guys get up here, at least in my opinion. That's my opinion.
We'll see, because it might still be a while. But Spenmo Rex, do you have who you believe is the Detroit Tigers core? What's your core?
Yeah, I think I do. I'm going pretty much the same with you guys. I think it's obviously Riley Green. Yep. You got Colt Keith. You got Dingler, Tariq Skubal. You can throw Reese Olson in there. I think Malloy and Winsell Perez are good secondary pieces. I wouldn't consider them core players, but I think they could be good, 6th, 7th batting order type guys. Eventually Max Clark will be there, hopefully sooner rather than later. But I do think you need to go out and grab some pieces to supplement that next year, because I think you have the makings of a team that can be good to go. You're really waiting for your two shining pieces in Jackson Jobe and Max Clark to break through, but I think that'll be happening. Jackson Jobe will be your starting pitcher next year. Like, he'll be your number 2 pitcher next year, going out of camp, ready to go. It'll be Skubal, Jobe, and then Olsen, hopefully, are your first 3 in the rotation. Max Clark, I really kind of want to see him play next year. I don't think he can. I think he could be a September call-up next year, but if he goes out there and he has a spring the way he's been hitting recently, I think he should be in Erie right now. He's too good for high A. He's already proven that.
Yeah.
There's one player, the longest hitting streak for the high A Tigers team is 9 games, and that is Max Clark, because he had played 9 games for the high A team at that point. So he's too good. He's already shown that. He should be in Erie right now. He starts the season with Toledo next year at the very least. I think he could be a September call-up.
Oh, if he starts the season even if he starts the season at Toledo, I will be a little bricked, just because you think when it comes to Max Clark that he's a couple of years away, and maybe he still is. But if you see him in the majors next September, I'm feeling pretty damn good.
I love hearing you talk about shiny things, and that goes back to part of the reason why I'm so jaded. If we're being honest, you know what shiny things we were told were coming?
Yeah.
Spencer Torkelson.
That's true.
Riley Green.
He's shiny.
Casey Mize.
Mm-hmm.
Kristen Stewart.
Yeah.
Daz Cameron. Right? And fill in the blank catcher of the future. And that different guys held that title, right? And I think that's why so many people like me are saying, and again, Spenny, I'm not saying that they're going to fail.
Yeah.
Because I've been down this road, and I agree with you. We had this conversation. I like Riley Green. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying the dude's a good player. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. And like, somehow, some way, some people got offended at that. But it's almost like the Hutch conversation. He's here, but I think it can get there.
Yeah.
Health is a big, especially the legs. I worry about a guy that has some leg problems, but that's a story for a different day. So, like, I'm sorry, Tigers. Yeah. I'm sorry if I'm going to take the wait and see approach, because you burned an entire generation of fans on your hashtag Detroit Roots bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay? So pardon me if I don't jump back into the waters. Hey, don't worry, the water's fine. I'm going to dip my toe in this time, thank you.
That's fair.
I like what I'm seeing. Obviously, I think Max Clark's going to be a no-doubt stud. I think the kid's going to be a monster. I like Lorenzo, what he has been doing for the Tigers so far. He has been playing very well. McGonigal took a little step back, but he's getting back to where he was now.
Yeah.
I need to see Jace Young on this Tigers team this year.
Yeah.
I need to see him getting some at-bats at the end of the year this year. I don't know what's taking them so long. Oh, he can't play third base. I don't give a shit. Put him anywhere. Give him some DH at-bats. Like, I need to see him getting Major League at-bats.
You are speaking my language so much. When we come back, I'm going to give you guys my core. But before we head out, the fact that Jace Young is not on this MLB roster right now, and I have to keep watching Urshela and McKinstry at third base.
Give him some service time.
I'm not going to do it, but I want to.
It's not going to hurt. Just get him some service time, man. Yes. He's not going to change the Tigers. We just need to see him. I need
to see him get some at-bats.
But you know where else you need to see? The Randy Wise Automotive Golf Tour. How would you like to play the University of Michigan golf course with Braylon Edwards? It's the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour. Register today and you can round off.
Shout out Neil.
One person playing golf with 3 other people. What does that equal? 4 people playing golf together at woodwardsports.com, or scan the code on the screen. When it comes to your next car or truck, make the wise decision. It's Randy Wise Automotive.
At Planet Fitness, you can get everything you need for just $1 down. Try out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Hey, y'all better get on these free fitness training sessions from Planet Fitness.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home? Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
Join Planet Fitness today and get everything you need for just $1 down. $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Thursday, July 18th.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week, walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
Soroki's Crispy Chicken and Pizza is popping up all over Michigan. Locations are everywhere. They just opened one in Madison Heights. Make sure you go tap in. They got the best chicken in the game, the biscuits that are to die for, and some amazing New York-style pizza. Soroki's. You can find one near you at Sorokis.com. Soroki's. Now that's crispy.
It certainly is crispy. You know what else is crispy? Our Tiger core players, 100%.
Yeah.
And you guys have some really good ones. You guys got some interesting choices. I don't think there's a whole lot of variance when it comes to the obvious ones. However, I've got the old Flannel Sam core, and it's a little bit different than, it's got some changes.
All right.
I will just say that.
Let's hear it.
And when it comes to certain players, I am either going to ride with them or go down with the ship, because with a couple of them, there's a couple of glaring issues. One is Riley Green. 2 is Kerry Carpenter.
Yeah.
3 is Tarek Skubal, at least for now. We
Yeah.
kept him. 4 is Reese Olson. And 5 is Tyler Holton. I think he's that much. I'm not quite ready to go there just yet.
Yeah,
not quite ready to
crazy.
go there just yet.
Crazy.
I'm just, he's had too many extreme cold streaks. I'm not saying that he's not going to be good.
He got to be in the core by default. They paid him.
That is true.
It's the Flannel Sam core.
I get
He's in their core, obviously.
Yeah.
I understand that. And the reason why I brought up that caveat at the beginning, that I'm either going to ride with him or go down with the ship, is that I think one of the most disappointing things this season, other than, of course, a guy like Spencer Torkelson, has been the injuries. I swore to the heavens that Riley Green would play at least 130 games this year and do it well. He still might get there, but he's got to get off the IL a little sooner rather than later for that to happen. But with Riley Green, unfortunately, it's been a trend. He played less than 100 games his first 2 years. This season, he makes the All-Star team. He takes a tremendous leap across the board with all of his numbers, but he falls victim to the injury bug again. Kerry Carpenter's another one. Kerry Carpenter, do you guys realize in 199 career games, he has an OPS of 831?
Yeah.
That's pretty damn
That's
good.
why I put him in there if he's healthy.
But he's another one that just last season he had an injury. This year, you hear stress fracture in back, and you get a little bit spooked out. He's been out since May. Might come back to end the year, but still, these are 2 guys who have missed a large portion of both this season and last season due to injury. And Tarek Skubal, I think it's an obvious one. Reese Olson, I know he got hurt, but up until he got hurt, he was having a really damn good year on top of the September where he looked like prime Justin Verlander out there. And then Tyler Holton. I think you need a bullpen piece, and he's the one who has continued on his stellar play from last year. I know it didn't look so good at times at the beginning, but he is on an absolute heater right now.
What about your Bally Sports Player of the Week, Parker Meadows? 8 hits, 381 batting average.
I need to see a
1048 OPS.
I need to see
There's
a little
nothing wrong
bit
with
more.
that. That's my whole sentiment.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question, though?
Absolutely.
Honest to God, all 3 of you, how concerned are you about Riley Green moving forward?
I'm a little concerned with his injuries.
Yeah.
You know what? It's the legs.
Yeah.
That's what terrifies me.
But I also have wet dreams of an outfield of Riley Green, Parker Meadows, and Max Clark. Like,
Facts.
nobody would get hits. They could cover the entire, even in
Unless
Comerica.
Badu was out there, and then he could run into you and knock you over.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That would be the best defensive outfield in the major leagues.
Facts.
So how worried are you guys about Riley Green?
His health?
I would say
6 out of 10.
I was gonna say 4 out of 10.
Okay.
I would say 5 out of 10. His health, yes, but I am 100% sold on his play. 100%.
Yeah.
There is nothing that I have to criticize about Riley Green on the field.
Fact.
But unfortunately, he's kind of the one who's been as snake bitten as any with the injury bug, and it's been consistent ever since he's come up in the major leagues. I mean, he missed the start of 2022 because he broke his foot in spring training when he was absolutely dominating. I would love to see it. And
now, is it a problem that you got 2 players in your core that are injury prone?
yes, of course it is. That's why I'm saying I'm either gonna ride with him or go down with the ship. I mean, you've even seen Tarek Skubal.
I can't stress this enough because so many things keep happening to his legs.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor, nor do I play a doctor. We'll leave that to Dr. Pierce, but yeah, you have to worry about it. I mean, how much juice is in the legs? When the legs go, man, it goes. It all goes when the legs go. So I don't know, and I'm not saying it's there yet, but the fact that you keep having these moments, man, It's terrifying.
He already got that gimpy run.
It's
He does
terrifying.
run like an idiot.
It really is.
People actually use that against Riley Green.
He looks
which
like
is
an
crazy.
idiot when he runs. Yeah, I will never.
He still
not
gets
say
there,
it.
but his
Yeah.
run is crazy, though.
But he's also the best offensive player on the team.
No, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And Kerry Carpenter's 2. And then, I don't know who's 3 at
Colt
this point.
Keith.
Probably.
Yeah.
Colt Keith's month of July, he looked like Barry Bonds. It's just there's still too much bad and I get it, he's just a rookie, which is why I think he can be into this core, but I'm not willing to just stamp him right now. Colt Keith is in the core. Although Terry Foster said he would have better numbers by the end of the season than Riley Green. I was never even going to bring that up, but I just have to bring it up. He said that.
He did say that.
He did say that.
Barry Bonds was an absolute freak.
Yes.
And
Yes.
for those of you out there that don't remember, just do one thing today. Go look at Barry Bonds' numbers.
Man, what?
Honestly, do yourself a favor. If you're a stat guy, go look at Barry Bonds' number, in particular his last few years. It's
ridiculous.
It's fake. It's all fake, except it wasn't. Like,
Right.
it was all fake, but it wasn't.
I don't care about the juice. I don't care.
Bring steroids back.
Neither
that
did
was
baseball.
The best era of NFL passed you up because y'all frowned upon steroids.
Baseball has to own it. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
said it then. I say it now. Everybody and their brother knew what the hell was going on.
Nobody
Don't
cared.
act like
Yeah.
you didn't. Own it, and we can all move
And
on.
nobody cared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it
The
was
best
awesome.
era of baseball.
Because it was awesome.
Literally
because
the
they were
best
hitting
era ever.
500-foot home runs. It was
Roger
fun.
Clemens wasn't getting vitamin B shots in his ass.
Right.
Okay?
They were breaking
it's okay.
into live news to watch Mark McGwire break the home run record. Like, come on, what are we talking about here?
Yep.
Those were some of my formative years, that Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire home run chase in the Barry Bonds from
man.
73. Those were some memories. But yeah, to bring back Barry Bonds real quick before we go to break, he was getting like 1,300, 14 OPS seasons.
Right.
Just
You still got to hit the ball. I don't
you
care
still
about
gotta
the
hit the
juice.
ball. You still got to hit the ball. And one thing I also liked about Barry Bonds is when they weren't pitching to him, he just accepted his first base and went along, because that is
God, dude.
keeping the
After
line
your flannel
moving.
talking about walks again, I swear to God.
Hey, get on base, baby. Get on base.
All right, well, let me tell you about Planet Fitness. Planet Fitness is the home of the judgment-free zone. You get a full-body workout in 30 minutes, and all memberships include fitness training. If you want extra perks, you can upgrade to the Black Card, get the use of amenities like the Hydro Massage, Total Body Enhancement, and access to over 2,500 locations worldwide. Make sure you tap in to a Planet Fitness near you. You can go inside and sign up, or go to planetfitness.com. It's Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
So just to get the heated steering wheel, I also had the spring for the bigger rims.
Yeah, that's how they get you. Those upgrades will cost you an arm and a leg every time.
Hey, new car crew, how'd it go this weekend? I got a great deal on mine.
How?
I went to Randy Wise, not those other guys. They got me in a great new ride, and they didn't break my budget. Hey, could you pass me the sugar?
How?
Never mind.
He made the wise choice.
Yep.
Make the wise choice at randywisechevy.com.
The countdown to kickoff is here. Your Detroit Lions are ready for another season of grit. Woodward Sports is your #1 destination for all breaking news and Lions coverage. We are Detroit's #1 sports network. We are Woodward Sports. Enough Detroit sports. Make sure you listen to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz next, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the Woodward Sports Network.
Attention sports fans, don't miss out on expert sports injury insights with Dr. Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join Dr. Jeff Pierce every Tuesday during Big D Energy and Thursdays during Ermanni and Edwards, where he offers top-notch injury advice. Trust the guy that DMAC trusts. Dr. Jeff Pierce is here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. For more information, visit MichiganSportsAndSpine.com or call 248-426-9944.
Hey, last segment of the day, Big D Energy live on the Woodward Sports Network. Flannel Sam, we got Sean Belegian, we got KG in the audio booth, and Spencer Raxter in the TD booth. All right, got a couple of mailbag questions in here. This is an interesting one from Dad with Tourette's. Taking into account the strength of the other NFC North teams, is it more likely the Lions go undefeated or miss the playoffs? Jeez, I almost didn't want to ask that question.
The tale of two extremes.
That's a good question, though.
I mean, since I have to answer the question, miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it. But
Neither are going to happen.
Neither.
But
Yeah.
if I have to answer the question,
Yeah.
Dad with Tourette's missed the playoffs.
Yeah, I almost didn't want to read that one, but damn it, I
swear,
did.
man.
But Alan W., here's a good one to get us back on track. This is more substantive. Would you all be more worried about running into the Eagles with all of the players they added or the Niners in the playoffs?
Definitely the Eagles.
Ooh.
Because they just have more premier talent. San Francisco lost a lot. And I also think the Lions had them down 17 at the half, man. Like, they can compete with the San Francisco 49ers. But, I mean, the Eagles, if they can get it together, man, they have a squad.
A year ago at this time, I was all about the Eagles. And
Yeah.
I think I did a show with you. We have to figure out what happened to the Eagles. For it to fall apart
Nick
the way that
Sirianni
it
happened.
did, that was weird. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, I know they got punked and everything, but for that whole thing to crumble the way that it did, that was really weird. But I'm with you.
Yeah, both sides of the ball, they nasty on paper.
I think that's a legit. I like the QB too. I
Yeah.
do. People
Yeah.
want to dog him. I think he's just one of those guys that finds a way to make plays, except down the stretch last year.
Yeah, they added two great coordinators in Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore, and so I think they're going to be a lot better. Obviously, adding Saquon helps, but I'm still going to say I'd rather see the Eagles because I don't think Nick Sirianni is a good head coach. I just don't think Nick Sirianni is a good. I think that's why they fell apart last year was because they lost Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen, and so they just completely fell apart because Nick Sirianni can't get it done. Now they have good coordinators now, so I don't think that's going to happen. But Kyle Shanahan is a league's better coach than Nick Sirianni.
It was everything too. That was the thing about the Eagles because I remember watching a couple of those games, just going, "Wow!" The one game against the awful Giants where Tommy DeVito.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, are you serious? It was awful.
But
really.
you can make the same case for San Fran in the playoffs, man. And if you watch a receiver, you'll know what I'm talking about. They were supposed to lose way before they got to the NFC Championship game with the Lions. And then they were supposed to lose that one as well, man. The wheels finally came off in the Super Bowl, but, I mean, their postseason, kind of teetering like that. I'm not necessarily sold on San Fran either. I'm not.
It's funny, though, because I know, Spenny, you mentioned it with Nick Sirianni. To me, you never want to say this about your head coach. And I get it. They went to the Super Bowl with him. He showed some promise. But Nick Sirianni is like a fuckboy. He's the complete opposite of Dan Campbell. They're both more leader of men style of head coaches. But once the Eagles lost to Jonathan Gannon and Shane Steichen and then brought in their coordinators that they had last season, it just wasn't the same. And they had moments at the beginning of the year when it looked good, where I think they started the year 10-1, but then it just all fell apart down the stretch. People, I don't think, want to work under Nick Sirianni. I think he's kind of a clown at this point. I really do. You can go to like 5 or 6 different instances of his antics just being super like fuckboy like. He is.
Yeah.
I mean, Spenny, is Nick's like you can say Nick Sirianni's a fuckboy.
Yes, you can. You absolutely can. He's a douchebag.
How do you like that, Chiefs fans?
Yeah.
Oh, what a fucking loser.
He's a douchebag.
It's funny hearing you say fuckboy though.
No, he is though. Like he's not a good leader.
Can you do that again, please? Do it one more time, please.
How you like that, Chiefs fans? He actually did that though.
No, he did.
Nice regular season win.
Yeah,
No, I'm with
he's
y'all.
such a douchebag.
I'm with y'all 100%.
Yeah, no, that's
I'm terrified of that roster still.
It's just the roster. That's all.
I'm terrified of it.
No, I want to be very clear. I'm not discounting the Eagles. I think that they're going to be a good team. I think they're going to win the NFC East. But Nick Sirianni, if there's any sign of dissent anywhere, I think it could fall apart again because I think he's just one of the worst leaders in all of the NFL.
You guys, this is all it's all a moot point. Jerry Jones feels it in his bones this year that this is the Cowboy season. So this is it.
He feeling something else in them bones.
This is it.
Yeah,
and he ain't worried about paying CD. I ain't got time for that. I ain't worried about that.
Man, they don't have anybody locked up long term.
Yeah, they don't.
Cowboys are a joke. Their owner's got dementia and their team's falling apart.
He probably does at this point.
I swear.
Unfortunately. But yes. But you guys certainly don't because you guys are going to remember this show. obviously.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys don't.
Pretty good.
But yeah, this was a lot of fun, Sean Bleach, and thank you for coming in as always. You've been a staple on Big D Energy these past couple weeks, and of course we all remember him from his time on Belegian and Bell. That was good times at Woodward Sports. But thank you again, Sean Belegian. Thank you, KG, and thank you, Spenmo Rex, and thank you to all of the.
Thank you, Flannel.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Spinner. Spencer.
You stayed
Spenmo
up right
Rex.
today.
Jesus Christ, I short-circuited for a second. On that note, see you later.